cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
Tyler and Michaela Joy. Micah is 30 and Michaela just turned 29. Smart girls, pretty girls, just, oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry. Like I said, I've done a lot of stuff, but man, God blessed me with them. They really did. And it was just their accomplishments. I love it that they come home from school and go, look, Mom, what I did. I loved it when we had thunderstorms in Lubbock and we'd go out and collect snails and they'd have the big snails all over their arms. They're just the joy of my life, and I'm so blessed.
Off the table, you lost your nephew recently. Yeah. You want to share your thoughts about what's going on with your family and, I mean, for wrestling fans, obvious a sad time, but I mean, my heart went out to you, your family, and the Rotunda family. It's just a shame.
Yeah, it's still pretty hard to talk about, but I mean, he was just such a such a beautiful person.
Yeah. Well, our prayers are with
you. Referred to Greg Gagne as buggy whip arms, spindly legs.
Buggy whip arms?
Yeah. Pot belly.
Nice.
A neck like a stack of dimes.
Oh, boy.
But tough.
But tough.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a promoter's kid.
Was Vern tough, though?
Oh, yeah.
Could Vern whoop your ass?
Vern, no.
No.
Were you being serious?
No, I'm asking.
I'm going to come over there.
No.
Please don't come over here.
No. Was Vern tough enough to take on guys like you? Yeah. You're a legitimate tough guy, right? Actually, a very scary guy, too, man. I mean, tough, kick anyone's ass. After you have something like a heart attack, does that kind of like weigh on you or like kind of feel, you kind of feel a little less than a man type of thing? Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's been 3 months.
Is it getting better, I would hope?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great, but at the time, it's still in my head.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's in my head.
Sure.
Sometimes I can feel chest pain and I get all freaked out, but,
It's a mortality check, man. It's got to be
hard. Yeah, you nailed it.
It's got to be hard.
Does it make you feel less of a man? Yeah, kind of.
Understood.
Totally understand. And look,
he's missed, dude. Bad.
Joe,
by millions.
Joe,
by million.
Joe, I want to bring you back to the day that your father died. I know we spoke about it earlier. Obviously, the love that you have for your father and your grandfather is immense. Can I ask you as a human being, though, and as a son, was part of you angry at your father for what happened?
Don't ever fucking ask me that question again.
What it was like that night for yourself and the locker room. Just take us through that terrible evening, if you can, please.
Man, that night still cuts through me like a razor. I can see everything that happened that day. I remember seeing Owen before he went to go up top, and I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones I got to wrestle before the incident, because I don't know if I could have gone to the ring after. I can tell you that for God's honest truth. I remember Godfather went to the ring, and then the Blazer music hit, and next thing I know, King comes running in the back because I hear the crowd gasp and I don't know what happened. And I remember King running in the back and he was white as a ghost. And the only thing he said was, I think he's dead. And we're like, who? And it was Owen. And I was, oh, God, no.
And there's nothing would have gone
He
on.
won't do it.
But instead, he still talks about you.
7 months, brother. 7 months. Every other day I get a threat. You know what he's threatening to do with me now? Take a guess.
What's he threatening to do?
He want to report me to the IRS so they stop, so he could so they stop saying he want to take away my Social Security check.
Because he's mad that he can't underpay you and overwork you?
The only income I got is my Social Security check, and because I want work for Dan Morella, he want to. I showed him because I knew y'all gonna call me. Dan gonna call me a liar. I knew that because he done that before.
He called you a thief on the last video I saw with Cena Senior just 2 days ago.
I knew
3 days ago, whatever the fuck it was.
I knew from before when people asked me why did I stop, and I told them the truth. Dan went on and called me a liar. He made fun of me. He said stuff like, "Now who would work for $50?" That was pouring salt in the room because I done that.
You did
right.
it.
I did it.
Right.
Now I'm really feeling
it's
like
so outrageous.
Now
people
I'm really feeling like a fucking idiot. This guy fucked me up the ass and don't even give me a kiss. And then he gonna. I hope I didn't say nothing wrong.
Absolutely not.
And I said enough is enough. I don't want nothing to do with him. I don't want nothing to do with him.
Well, how does it make you feel
Now-
when you're on that show?
He's going out to my look. If I'm such a horrible person, if I'm so horrible, if I'm stealing from you, if I'm lying about you, why in the effing hell are you playing my tapes? When Vince McMahon get rid of somebody, he don't keep showing their matches. Why is I'm on Boston frickin' Wrestling? Why? Why you showing my tapes? Why are you selling my tapes if I'm such a horrible piece of crap? I wouldn't sell the tape of no horrible piece of crap. I wouldn't sell the tapes of a liar. I wouldn't sell the tapes of a thief. Now I'm a thief. Now he's going out to my freaking Social Security.
He ain't going
That's
after
all
shit.
I got left.
He ain't going
Damn, what
after
you want
shit.
me to do?
He
You
ain't
want my
going after-
freaking Social Security check? You want my Social Security check now? What? 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 Are you gonna take my Social Security from me? I worked 60 fucking years for that Social Security check. Are you gonna take it? And all them black man people that support you for my Social Security check? Why?
Instead of with the kayfabe bullshit and acting like he hurt his back, why don't you finally reveal to the fans that San Martino told you what was going to happen, and you did what you had to do because that was your role, and stop keeping this story that you go from show to show going on. Admit it on this show.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something right now. First of all, what I'm going to say about David San Martino, when he came into the WWF, he was probably the strongest, if not the strongest wrestler that I've ever seen. And especially when you combine that with a great wrestling talent and knowledge of holds and counter holds, this guy was really a superstar. But on a fateful night in November 1985, after two big slugs behind his head, 6 or 7 body slams later, which nobody can take, he walked out of that ring holding his back, and he heard it on his show. He said, I heard his back. I was the better man that night. Now, if you want to believe what he said, you go right ahead and believe what he said. But I've said all I can say about it is that, and here's another thing. You Google anywhere, YouTube, Vimeo, or any other search engine, and watch that match and see the comments below. 99.9% of the fans back Big Ron Shaw. And they know what happened. And some people, that small percentage, they say, well, Ron Shaw stepped in the ring. You can see he's telling Dusty Feldbomber to finish. I remember exactly what I said to Dusty Feldbomber, just to prove you wrong and some of the other fans wrong, is I said, hey, Dusty, it looks like a good sellout tonight. That's what I said. I wasn't telling him any finish. because you know what? I had in my mind what I was going to do that night. Because when I heard some type of a rumor going on in that dressing room, I did what I was going to do, the right thing. Now, I hope that answers your question, Monty, Mr. Wise Guy.
Well, let me try it another way. Let me try it this way. Hello, Ron.
No.
Did David Sammartino really hurt you?
It's the kid across the
or
pond.
not?
You
Or
punk.
did you give it up, Ron?
You punk. You punk.
I'm a punk.
Let me tell you something. It wouldn't take me no more than 2.5 hours to fly down there
No.
and slap your
No.
face all over that
No,
damn
please don't.
studio. You understand me? I'm done.
Not even.
I'm done.
I'm calling some Edward Fatu. I was wondering, like, who you calling Edward Fatu? I didn't know that was his real name. That's your brother's real name. I thought it was Eki, but it said, no, it's Edward Fatu. It's on the birth certificate. But my brother Humanga was a good man. Like I said, it's just sad that he left so early. He went so quick, so fast. And until this day it's hard. We're still trying to deal with it, and I know it's been a while. But anytime you lose a loved one, it's those are hard to bounce back from. We got to learn I try to really learn how to dust myself up. Even with Yoko, I always think, what would be if they were still alive and here with us, or with me?
Sure, how are you?
Good, yourself? Thank you for asking.
Fantastic. We have your dad or your father on the phone. So here's my question to you. Is your father a good father?
He is an amazing father.
Tell me why.
Honestly, thank him and my mom, and I say that it's a constant daily blessing to have both of them as my parents, as my guides, as my best friends in my life.
Dasher, how old are you, please?
I'm 21.
Very well done.
Dasher, tell me why your dad is a good father, beyond what you said. Like, this is a guy who is an icon in wrestling, who seriously is a serious human being, very spiritual, obviously. But had to break up, obviously, with your mom. And that's got to be tough on a child who's had as a child, a divorce. Why do you respect your father this much?
It's refreshing, by the way.
Well, he's been there through all of it. Through the bad times that I've had, which were super dark and low times, and the extreme good times. He's just been through every step of it all, and he never gives up on me. He always has faith and always motivates me to be a better version of myself and follow my dreams and just keep on doing good. He's never lost hope or love.
Thank you, sweetie.
Dasher, I want to say thank you for these kind comments, and I got to tell you, it's
wow.
Best act, and we want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm glad we could call you a friend, and prayers to the three gentlemen you just mentioned. Mr. Cena, send us out, please.
That's on you, John. Send us home.
I don't know how to send you home except say thank you. I love you guys tremendously. You truly are my friends, and I do wait for the day you call and say you're in Saugus, let's go to the Kowloon. And to all the fans of Monty and the Pharaoh, and those fans of Boston Wrestling and NWF, thank you for the memories. It's only the beginning, only the beginning. And Monty and the Pharaoh, again, thank you so much for allowing me to come on and talk about my dear friend, Kid Barati.
There we are, Jimmy. Friday the 13th. Welcome to another episode of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty Nefaro. Jimmy, I got to tell you, man, I love that Wisteria Hall remake of Wish You Were Here from Pink Floyd. As I get older, when I ever watch it, because when I was looking through the old videos yesterday when I was putting this little thing together, when I was listening to it, it's like, that was a pretty emotional time, the whole feud with Marati and then his unfortunate demise and the send-off from John Cena Sr. and then the great song by Wisteria Hall.
I'd like to just say, first of all, I was actually breaking up a bit watching. Great job, Mike. I'm just being very real right now. You asked me last week if I didn't, if it wasn't you and me and there was a Monty and the Pharaoh, would I watch the show? And my answer was yes. And after seeing what you put together, see, last week's program was awesome, and we both have talked privately during the week about how much we loved how real it was, because difficult questions are always asked on this show, and everybody responds differently. And to Joe Henning's credit, he gave us one of the realest responses ever, and we were laughing together at the end. And I'm sure we'll talk to him again sometime.
Right.
During the Marati days, there was emotions were very heavy. We were very much on Tony's side, and we were on Marty's side. And there were many reasons, not just because we know them, because of what we felt was happening on a fiscal level to them. And when Dan Marati suddenly passed, whether you're a rival or you're a friend, you're still a human, you're a person. And I remember being just absolutely, in my own strange way, completely shocked and devastated in a way, because I was like, what is this? And you know how Mr. Cena felt about him as a person. I mean, we all have our highs and lows. That was so well put together, man. Thank you for doing that.
Well,
for taking the time.
I appreciate that.
And there was a lot of laughs too. Let me tell you, Patera. I went from laughing to almost sobbing, depending on the clip, like Vampiro with his daughter, like it.
Well, let me ask you
forth.
that. So when I was looking through the videos, right, and believe me, like I told you today, I could have made a 3-hour video.
Oh, there's
right?
a
I
lot
literally could have
more.
went 3 hours.
I know.
But it's funny what you forget. And when I ran across that, I was like,
Right.
I wonder if Jimmy, like, of course you remembered it. I don't mean it that way, but it was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I forgot that happened. Did you remember that? Like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember like yesterday. Or
Well,
was it like,
no.
oh shit, I forgot all about that?
Look, I'm still pretty sharp, thank God, for a guy my age, and I do remember many things very, very clearly, and they're the strangest and oddest things, just like everybody else. When that came up, I was like, wow, I haven't thought about it, but there it is, and of course I remember it the second I see it. But it wasn't something that I reflected upon. There were plenty of surprises, if that's what you're getting at. As
Right.
I was watching this, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I remember that, watching Barry break up over Bray is heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, right? Listen, Baby Doll talking about her children. It's yeah, you do. This is why I love doing a show with you, bro, because it's like
I'm trying to keep it together.
I hear you. It's just like there's so much good shit that we've done together, and I really, again, I love the support of the Monty and the Farrell family, and I do. I know it was a long intro for everybody, but it's always good to remember some of the things from the past and to show some raw emotion. I mean, part of the reason I put that video together was, Joe Henning.
Yeah.
He gave a very solid interview. Some people liked it, some people didn't, which
I
is
liked
fine.
it. I
did
enjoyed
too.
it. I'm biased, of course. You can always type that in.
Right,
Half
sure.
of you probably will. It's okay.
I mean, some of the feedback from the dirt sheets has been incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the things that
Yeah,
bothered me was,
true.
look, we try to ask real questions.
Okay.
And we try, look, sometimes we're vindictive little scumbags. I get it. But,
Wait a minute.
but
Whoa. Are we talking about both of us right now, or
well,
just
maybe me. All right. So,
look, I'm guilty though. I go along with it, like you said. I have to take half
well,
the
yeah,
blame.
there ain't no surprises. There's no
I'm
surprises,
taking
right,
half
Jimmy?
the blame just for the record, but I
Right.
digress. Go on, my friend.
If I could just get this straight. So I was like, I wasn't bothered by his answer, by the way. I was appreciative of his answer because it was raw. It was a raw answer.
Oh,
But
God,
I
yeah.
thought to myself,
Oh.
was I out of line? Like, and I'm like, you know what? This question isn't out of line.
Right.
Again,
Right.
as fans, we've been drilled into our head that Kurt Henning
Yes.
OD'd on cocaine in
Yes,
his
we have.
hotel room since we've known it. So
Right.
I would legitimately say to someone like, look, when someone ODs,
You would.
it's
I
a
know you
sad
would.
situation, right?
Yeah. Oh, God.
But
yeah.
but it's not a normal situation is what I'm trying to say. And it's like I would think anger would be part of that.
What just for shits and giggles? What would constitute a justified death?
I don't know. You're sitting doing the show. You take a heart attack and you die.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
it's like it's
I'm
not
just
your
trying
fault.
to establish parameters because you
Right.
got ODs, you got car crashes, I want to know where
again,
we're going.
if you're driving 500 miles an hour and you're
No,
acting
what
like
if
a
you're
jerk
not?
off,
What if you're not? And then some other idiot clips you and you drive into a tree and you die.
But what I'm saying is when a guy ODs, supposedly, okay, now
Right.
Joe on the show said that he felt
Right.
that it was a joke gone bad.
Yes.
Okay. Which
yeah.
I don't know. What the hell do I know?
Well, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll be able to discuss with him, and I suggest we discuss it in advance if he comes on again.
No advancement, Jimmy. That is a rule of the show. We broke it once, and it was for
yes,
that Damien guy. The
but
Damien NXT star. It will never happen
I'm trying
again.
to be half respectful here. I almost feel like I'm Silvio talking to fucking Tony right now. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand. I got you.
I feel like if I think he's got the jive of it all. But I mean, like I said, he was laughing at the beginning with us. He got upset about the question. It's been asked before. Look, you know my opinion on this, and I'll tell everybody out there. This is how I feel about this. When it happened, of course, as an interviewer, well, I'm speaking for myself. I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, he's fucking mad. Okay, but. We have asked, as these clips just showed, we have asked for the last 7 years since we started way back in the Facebook days. We have always asked these kinds of questions. And I told you, Mike, off the air, this is the first time in 7 years of asking these lines of questions. And like you said, the montage at the beginning could have been 3 hours, guys, of this. All right? One time in 7 years, somebody gave us a don't ever fucking, okay. I can live with that ratio.
And by the
we
way,
asked the real questions.
And it was a real answer. It was his raw emotional answer. It was a great answer.
Loved it. It scared the piss out of me. I was ready to go under the table. But
I got to tell you, though, watching the Patera interview, though, when I asked that question, Jimmy's laughing. And then also, if you look, Jimmy freezes because he realizes Patera's pissed off.
Do you see my face?
I know. It's great.
I'm like, oh, shit, you pissed off the Olympic strongman. I'm like, this is a problem. And he's like, what? You want me to come over there? And we're both like, no. I wish they could have caught us on camera during that point.
No, I have to share
No, it's okay.
I have to
you
share
stay
something.
There.
So Phil, who we love, right? And by the way, I don't know. I have this magical thing about me, Jimmy, where I always run across these shows where they're just talking about us for whatever reason. It's not like I know. So I went on Mancini's show.
Oh God, why?
I think Thursday it was. Because I was at the gym. I was watching something.
But Phil, watch The Shining.
But Phil is on there. And some guy asked him about Monty. Yeah, Phil was on there. Some guy asked him,
all right,
hey Phil, what's the deal with Monty and the Pharaoh? They're trying to start with Roman Mancini. And I got to tell you, I love the president, boy, because you know what he says?
What?
He's like, hey, look, they're big Vince McMahon support. I'm not speaking for them. They're big Vince McMahon supporters. And You know, that's about all I know about it. Phil is one of those guys who no one can ever get mad at. So Jimmy, when Phil,
That's a good answer, though.
When Phil and Bruce came to New York for the big event last year,
Yeah.
Phil did the interview with MA Magnum TA.
and
Phil graciously sat next to me to do the interview.
Yeah.
So we have a script, and I said to Phil, "Here's a great story, by the way." I say to Phil, "I'm like, hey Phil, if you're uncomfortable with the questions that are lined up,
tap me on the leg.
Tap me on the leg, right? And I'll just take them." I said, Jimmy usually has no problem doing, but sometimes Jimmy doesn't feel comfortable, and he'll tell me to take it, right?
I rephrase on the fly. I usually just rephrase.
The best part of it. Phil is hitting me like the first three questions, hitting me on the leg. I think the first one was how do you feel like how do you feel Tully? How do you think Tully feels because you took his wife or some shit? Phil's like, I'm not asking that one.
Let's be fair for a second. Do you expect the average guy?
No.
Okay. And Phil is not the average guy, by the way.
No,
but I'm just saying the non-Monty mental process would be, are you kidding me? You want me to ask him this?
Well,
again, you see, that's why this show works, because I'm the one guy who goes, okay, he's going to ask this. And then I get to do whatever I want on the fly.
I have to laugh, dude, because with that Patera thing, it's like, no, Monty's done it again. Patera's gonna kill us.
Jeez.
All right, so Jimmy, a serious note. We're in this podcast and broadcasting thing, and there's so many people doing it.
Yep.
But there's one guy out there. His name is Mayor McCall. I really don't know him. He had reached out to me, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago. Anyway, I think he asked me to watch his show or listen to his show. I watched it. I wrote him. I said it was a really good show. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. It means the world to me, whatever else. And that's pretty much the last I've ever heard of him. I think I might have met him, of course, through Benny from Dan and Benny in the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this, but I recently, someone had shared this with me that unfortunately this, I don't know his real name, Mayor John McCall. I guess it's John McCall's his real name. I'm not sure, dude. So forgive me. But his son passed away. And this is, again, he put this on social media. Okay. So it's not like I'm revealing anything. His son, unfortunately, ran across what many Americans are running across and passed away.
The F word?
With fentanyl, right?
What is the deal? By the way, just real fast. I'm sorry. What is the deal with fentanyl? What is it? What is it about it that makes it so?
It's literally and this is a serious thing that's happening in this country.
That's why I'm asking.
Even if you smoke weed, it's like a pinhead of that stuff will kill you. No, but I'm being serious. That's why you got to be careful where you get your stuff. So, it's very odd, Jimmy, because again, a lot of people like cocaine, and obviously in the 80s it was a big drug that everybody
used. Ridiculous.
You gotta really think now, if you're still doing these type of drugs, considering fentanyl is out there, I think you're out of your mind.
How old was the kid though? Wasn't he like in his early 20s?
I don't know, but I pulled some of the posts, Jimmy, and I kind of want to share these with you.
Okay.
And, all right. And so just everybody knows, again, this is public knowledge. This guy has put it out there. So I'm going to switch glasses here, dude. So, cause I cannot read this with my
That's fair. Fair enough. As I always say,
Monty and glasses.
Here's
how to donate to my family during this horrible time. There is more to a death than just a funeral. Thanks to who have understood. So he lost his son, and I guess he felt he wanted to reach out to his fans and I guess his fans of his show and look for a donation. I'll share this next one with you. Fuck fentanyl. The call that you never want to get. Your son is overdosed. He will always be loved. Love you, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then do I have another one? Well, I think that's all I have.
Give me. There was got to be more than the blah blah blah, though.
Well, so I don't have the post. I had thought I uploaded it, Let me see. I'm going to check my phone, dude. So I'm going to read this for you. I would like to show the people out there because I'd like to know, and I want you to weigh in because then I got a little bit annoyed, right? Let me see here. Here's one. So
there was a GoFundMe for the funeral.
There was a GoFundMe. I don't know if it was for the funeral. This is another post from him. This is just days later. Thank you all for the love and support during the most difficult time with our son. Now it's time to get back on it with the podcast, Wrestling Talk with Mayor McCall. We have some big surprises coming, a franchise or maybe a man with a hands of stone. And then he takes another picture at his son's funeral home. Beautiful service today. Thanks to my crew for supporting Foxy and myself. And it's a picture with his crew.
He has what do you mean by crew? He has a crew on his program?
No, it's like a bunch of friends, and they're all lined up at the funeral home, and they decide, hey, this is a perfect time to take a selfie for Facebook. So,
wow,
I'm not.
That to me is macabre.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Normal life. Okay. Who's to say what normal is anymore, Jimmy?
No, at this point, who the hell knows because of all the conflicts going on? But go ahead.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this poor guy lost his son.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I almost thought about donating from our show. Almost.
Okay.
Not quite. Not quite.
Not quite.
Well, I'm being honest, right?
Classic
because I'll be honest with you,
it.
I can't. I don't like certain people, and he's one of them. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So,
understood. Okay, go ahead.
And then I see, the first thing comes out of your mouth is that you want to talk about your fucking podcast. And then you take a picture with your boys at the funeral. Yo, what's up? Dude, look, I'm not trying to sway you. I'm asking you. I don't know what normality is anymore, man. I don't know. All I know, to me, this shit's fucking weird. Take it over, Jimmy, please.
It is fucking weird, but I'll say, okay, let's start with the basics of what's right. In today's age, if you post about the death of one of your children, you've got every right to do that. Everybody knows the difference between the line. There's like this thing in my mind about right and wrong, and it's basically a line. And it's like, okay, fine, so far so good. I mean, so far so bad. Somebody so
Hold
young.
on, let me just interject, and I'll let you continue. But make sure that you put a QR code up there in case people want to pay for your shit. I mean, that's what he did, right? Hey, my son has died. Here's a QR code if you want to donate. Since when? I don't know when people donate to someone's funeral. I don't get it. But go ahead, Jimmy.
Did you think I was heading in a friendly direction before you fucking brought up a QR code?
I just want to make sure you have all the information.
Well, I appreciate that because now it's even more complete. Basically, there's the difference between right and wrong, and there's a line we all know. Okay, you want to ask for donations for your kid's funeral? I don't know what your situation is, but personally, I never would. You'd probably have to back over me with a truck 7 times before I would do something like that. But it's your call, all right? But all of a sudden at the funeral home, you're talking about your show. How many days later was this, Michael? He's at the actual funeral home. It could only be a few days, right?
He's taking pictures with his boys.
What the fuck is going on
at the funeral?
See, that's where that line comes in. And guess what? You just jumped a shark. What the fuck is going on with you?
Well, this is what I'm trying to say to you, Jimmy. It's like I don't know what normal is anymore. It's like, is it normal. Okay?
No, it's not. No, that ain't normal. And you know what? You can call me any name you want if you disagree. I don't give a fuck. That to me is not normal. That to me is not normal. You want to grieve over your child? God damn it, your child died. That fucking blows. And you want to talk about how much you loved them on Facebook? Fuck yeah. Amen. Go. But again, I wouldn't ask for anybody's money. If somebody gave something willingly out of their heart and they came to me and they said something and they meant something in my life and what they said to me meant something, maybe I'd take the money, but I'm not asking for it publicly. And I'm not condemning one who does, by the way. I'm not. But that rest of that shit, a QR scan, and plug in the show, Plugging the show? What the fuck is going on?
Dude,
The show, Mike,
plugging
Mike,
the
if God
show.
forbid something horrible happens to one of us with one of our closest loved ones, we are not plugging the fucking show for God knows how long, depending on the severity of the situation.
I mean, I'll be honest
severe.
with you. I'll be honest with you. He just should have went all the way. He should have sold some Mayor McCall T-shirts for his podcast at his son's funeral. Put a booth up. Put a booth up with $5 a shirt and sell them.
I just flung my glasses in the corner. You happy? Are you fucking happy?
I'm sorry.
I mean, you brought your QR code? No, really? Are we serious?
I'm serious.
Now, Joe Farrell, what's normal in this world? Nothing. Fucking nothing. That's why I expect nothing. So when I get nothing, I don't go out in the backyard and submerge myself permanently in my pool.
No, listen, dude. I get it. I'm I'm so lost on.
God
this
help us. Help
now.
the chat. Help our brothers at home. Help our families. What is going on in this world? Did you see Cardi B? Have you seen some of the fallout? Some of the fallout from Trump being elected? I got big, giant, Jabba the Hutt looking women telling me that they're going to shoot me in the head because I've, went a certain way in life. It's like, wow, really?
Well, let me ask you.
You're
this,
allowed
right?
to do this, Mike. It's all over the place.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy. Right. So we talked about Dustin. We spoke about Dustin Rhodes a couple of weeks ago, and your wife, right, Karen, said to you, "Hey, I know that family, and she's friends with that family, and you guys had a discussion and stuff." To me, that's normal, right? If you have a partner and you do something stupid, usually your partner steps in. So let me ask you this: this guy's posting this shit. What's his wife thinking? Like, is she like, "Are you a fucking idiot right now?"
I don't know. I ain't touching that one.
And then again, I got to be honest with you. Maybe people do think it's normal. They're like, "What are you talking about? That's nothing wrong with that." I don't know.
Look, I guess all I can tell you is if someone thinks like that and they're from our generation, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? What the hell went wrong in your household in 1984?
Hey, but you know what? He's got Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin, and the franchise coming on his show, so that's important.
Brother.
Anyway, you're watching Long Island number one.
Mike, don't make me scan you.
It's like
I can't. It's absolutely insane and way over the line. What
you're
else?
Watching Long Island's number one pro wrestler broadcast, Monty Farrell, is seen here out of Tin Mirror Studios, which we're not because Abe had something that went on, so we come fresh from Wahoo's Saloon and the Monty Man Cave. You could see Monty and Farrell on the Monty and Farrell YouTube page, the Monty and Farrell Facebook Live page.
Yes, sir.
Hear us on iHeart Radio.
Yes, sir.
Spotify, Anchor, and our distributor is Believe, BLEAV. We're also on Twitch TV, the Monty and Farrell Twitch TV page. And if you're craving more Monty and Farrell, you can tune into New York Cable, where you can watch us 3 times weekly, Friday nights at 11:30 p.m. That would be tonight, Friday the 13th, by the way, Jimmy. Very scary. On channel 115. So if you come home from a drunken stupor and get a couple of black hats, you always watch Monty and Farrell and they get that jinx off of you. Saturday nights at 11 p.m. So everybody who watches Saturday night's main event tomorrow, you can drop that and right afterwards catch a little Monty and Farrell on channel 115. And again, yesterday night, or actually this morning at 12:30 a.m., channel 20. So if you're a really wild party, definitely catch Monty and Farrell on channel 20 on Thursdays, which, by the way, over 150,000 people tune into us weekly. And what does that do for Monty and Farrell? That 150,000 people reach us? Well, guess what, Jimmy? We have now joined Stripes Television. Stripes Television is on Roku, and you could become a fan of it. You can sign up for it. We're also part of something called Tribe TV. That's TRIBE, Tribe TV. So I'm asking the people out there, we're going to start putting some special content on Stripes TV and Tribe TV. They're very happy to have us, and we're very happy to be on board with them. All right. Also, big news, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Our conversation on Tommy Dreamer has done well on social media. I would say that the fans are split 50-50. Some felt we were right. Some felt we didn't know what we were talking about.
Okay.
Thoughts on Tommy Dreamer?
Hey, again, being an ECW fan and never a fan of Tommy Dreamer, still ECW legend. Everything that occurred outside of his ECW career was nothing near what he accomplished as far as his level and his love from the fans, et cetera, in ECW. It's obvious. There's nothing to really debate there, you know. I again think that what he's been able to do in the podcasting world, based off his deserved ECW legend, he has capitalized and done a great job at doing it. I've never been a fan. I'm not really that interested to listen to him, but so what? If people are, they are. And that's it with me with Tommy Dreamer. I do agree with you. He's as dry as paint. He never did anything for me, as far as a fan. But I was into Sandman. I was into Rob Van Dam. I was into the Dudley Boys. I was into Sabu. I even loved Taz. I loved Taz in ECW. Taz was great in ECW. But the second he gets into a WWE ring, like you said, with your usual monster, it is what it is. Tommy Dreamer took a $5 bill and turned it into 100 with what he had going on. I'll give him that. I don't have to agree with somebody to give them their obvious accolades, And if he doesn't like our program, I feel sorry for him because it's attitudes like his and it's work ethics like his and it's his honesty that he tries to give to everybody that is exactly what we're from the same place you are, brother.
I think that
I give him respect, but
sports are weird, right? It's like, and we'll call wrestling a sport. If some people grew up on Tommy Dreamer, right? And that's what they grew up on, of course they have special feelings. And for them, he's an icon. But for someone like us, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
And don't get me wrong. Icons did come from ECW for me. Icons did come from ECW.
Fair enough.
Rob Van Dam, he's in my top 10 all time. I called him. What did I call him on our show? And I still reflect on that. You asked me earlier about shit I remember. And I remember telling Rob Van Dam what I still believe to this day, including Shawn Michaels, as far as an athletic performance. If you want a guy who can do everything and do it like, at the top level, I think Rob Van Dam is the greatest in-ring wrestler of all time. I just do. I know I'm in the minority on that. I don't care if I am.
I don't know why would you be in a minority on that though?
Because people would be right and fair to say Bret Hart is the greatest technical wrestler ever, but Bret Hart would not be able to do what Rob Van Dam. See, Rob Van Dam could mat wrestle. I always start at the point of origin. Technical wrestlers are always argued about their mat ability, right, Mikey? Right? So you go with Bret Hart, right? And then if you get more aerial, you get Shawn, right? If you're talking greatest in-ring workers, that's usually like the first names that come up. So to me, Rob could mat wrestle as good as anybody. Him and Jerry Lynn used to have clinics. I'm not kidding. I don't mean to sound like a nerd, but they were clinics. But then Rob could get more aerial than Shawn ever dreamed of and made it look so... And he was the whole effing show, and he didn't even have to say much. Sometimes he would do a great move, Mike, and then look at the audience pop up and shrug. Hey, I'm not good.
Right.
He didn't have to say anything, and the whole crowd was like, RVD,
let me ask you this, though.
RVD,
when you're a real legitimate wrestler like a Brock Lesnar or a Bob Backlund, when you or Kurt Angle, when you watch a Brad Rheingans, it goes on and on. When you watch a shoot interview or they ask like a guy like DiBiase, what was Bob Backlund like? And DiBiase goes, he was an okay wrestler. How can an NCAA champion be an okay wrestler? Do you think that a real wrestler doesn't translate like a Shelton Benjamin to pro wrestling? I don't understand that at all.
No, it depends on the wrestler and his aura. And his promos, and this is professional wrestling. It's a different animal. So some have worked out splendidly.
But I
And
think that
anybody,
I'm not talking about them as a wrestler. I think they're talking
right?
about them as an in-ring wrestler. And it's like, I don't
Shelton
know.
Benjamin, just Shelton Benjamin
Well,
is
I'm
fucking
using
great.
DiBiase's analysis on Bob Backlund.
All
You can
right,
catch it on YouTube, right?
DiBiase's analysis on Bob Backlund can only mean one thing to me. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't give a crap. He must have some sort of issue with Bob Backlund, because to say that Bob Backlund was an okay worker means that you're blind, or you're something about him you don't like from
That you
past
just don't
experience.
like him, right?
Right.
That's I think a lot of this stuff, it really just comes to that. I just don't like the guy. And you know what? That
so
would be
say
it.
it.
That say it. Yeah. I just
Right.
never liked him. I didn't like him as a person. Just didn't dig him.
Bob Backlund was a fucking great in-ring worker. What the hell are we talking about here? You know,
Speaking of someone who speaks their mind, it looks like Tessa Blanchard's on her way back to TNA. That's going to be announced shortly.
Good.
Thoughts on Tessa? Did she get railroaded, or do you think she deserved the heat that she got?
I think she got railroaded no matter what she did. No matter how listen, Tessa Blanchard, you know how I feel about Tessa Blanchard. For a guy who's not into women's wrestling, Tessa Blanchard is the shit. She's great. She's not good. She's great. She's like Charlotte Flair great. I want her in the WWE. All right? And you know that, Mike. I think she's got it factor just oozing all over her. She is powerful and don't fuck with me. And oh man, I want her with the Yankees, man. I want her with WWE.
You know what, dude? I kind of agree with you, but I think they just can't go that route.
Why? Why would you not? If okay, now here we go. Let's always do what we always do.
Sure.
We own a wrestling company. We're not going to try to bring in Tessa Blanchard, even with the roster we have. Are you kidding me? I'm bringing her in.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the point?
You make it worth the squeeze. We're the owners. We're the bookers. Understood?
Yeah, but okay, but you're trying. You got really great momentum. You've got a great women's division. She does come with baggage, whether it's true or not. She comes with baggage. Do you really want to risk everything to bring in someone that may not move the needle for you?
Well, she would move the needle, first of all. All right, let me get to the first question I was going to ask you. Does the WWE currently strike you as a company that does not get folks who have a reputation of being out of line in line? Yes, they do. They have the rep. Look, Punk came back and won you over. Case closed. All right. So if Tessa Blanchard was to come to the WWE, and it seems like the way they're running the ship nowadays, they're going to get her on board. If she misbehaves, she'll be gone very quickly. But something tells me that if you're given that kind of chance, she's going to get on board. She'd be a huge contributor to that division. I'm sorry.
Well, I would go one better than you. I would say the WWE has a working relationship with TNA. So why not let her go to TNA, feel out and see how the crowd likes her,
agree,
and then go.
Yep, I agree. And Mike, you're a genius. That's probably exactly what's going on right now.
Also in the news, who we spoke about recently, our friend Mia Khalifa, former porn star, on a potential AEW run.
Friend?
Yeah. I have spoken to Tony, and he's just always happy to see me. He's always wanting hugs, and he's always offering to do my laundry. He has gotten me in the ring and shown me a few moves or two. I would love to be part of the AEW roster. Porn star Mia Khalifa.
The one who wished, all that pain and despair on American soldiers, that one?
That one.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, you know what? For years we've been saying AEW is definitely not what, their markish fans think they are. This is it. Mike, this is it. This is the shark that gets jumped. Why on earth are you going to put this steaming pile of shit into your product that is turning more and more into a steaming pile of shit? The fuck are you doing? That is so jumping the shark. That's not jumping the shark. That's jumping the whale. I mean, talk about a guy who's got no fucking clue. Mike, do you think that he's going to bring extra viewers with that piece of shit on the air?
Well, Mia Khalif has a certain following.
Right, and they're going to tune into AEW wrestling to see what?
So, Jimmy, I'll say this. I think that bringing in some of these social media or out of market stars do well sometimes. Like,
Wait,
yeah, they actually.
hold
But
on. I'm sorry, Mikey. I'm sorry. AEW, with their purists, in AEW is superior than the WWE because of their purists and their values and their blah, 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 blah. You're bringing in fucking Mia Khalifa?
well, they actually did well with the Costco guys. They brought that Costco guy in.
Okay.
They did okay. I mean, it helped. Look, these social
Right.
media stars do bring attention. It's funny. We were just on
Right.
ESPN, and Coach had brought it the attention that the one thing about Saturday night's main event this Saturday at 8 p.m. on NBC, that this time around they don't need a star. The wrestlers are the stars.
Right.
I think some of these organizations, like in AEW, they could do well bringing in these out of market stars. Mia Khalif, not so sure. Not thinking that's the
I was going to
greatest
ask
idea.
you, Mike, are you, Michael Monty, bringing in, knowing what she said and what's come out
No,
of her mouth?
not in a million years.
Thank you. At least we got to that because that is just fuck that.
I don't even get
You
it.
know?
It's like, my God, what are you bringing?
Grow your own fucking stars and build a wrestling company. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh my God.
I can't.
By the way, I want to tell everybody out there that Monty and the Pharaoh have signed an agreement with Dark Side of the Ring. They will be using us for numerous shows in season 6, which will be appearing on March 25th. If you remember, our own Jimmy Farrow, the star of Monty and the Pharaoh, was on season 4 in the most popular, which, Jimmy, you should be very proud of this. You were in the single most popular episode in the history of Dark Side of the Ring. So they've had 5 seasons. I believe 6 episodes a season. Could be a little less, could be a little more.
Right.
The World, according to Marty Jannetty, where Jimmy Farrow is on that show, is the #1 most popular Dark Side of the Ring show. That's pretty, dude. I know you're laughing, but you know what? You should be very proud of that moment, my friend.
Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? I'm just lucky that was the question that was put on my script.
Well,
Don't you see how I look at stuff?
Listen, dude, doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter. And guess what?
That's how I look at
we're
it.
going to be used for other shows on season 6, so you get to see this fat ass and this rock star doing some more silly questions that everybody, seems to hate. I was thinking about this, dude, to be honest with you.
He's been thinking. That's always a problem.
So we've seen so many Dark Side of the Ring episodes.
Wait a minute. You've seen like all of them. You know me.
Well, you've seen some, haven't you?
Of course I've seen some, but I don't have the knowledge of them like you do.
All right, well, I'm just going to ask you if you could remember, at least from the ones you've seen, which was your favorite Dark Side of the Ring episode?
I'm partial, and it's not because my stupid puss was on the show. It's Marty. Who do we know the most? Marty.
Yeah.
Who we had the most ridiculous experiences with, both good and bad. Marty. So I paid attention to that one. That's the one I remember the most. When you say most watched, I mean, how many people watched? I'm curious. Do you know?
You know what's so funny, Jimmy? I will have that number next week. Okay. I will get you that exact number.
I don't even know what numbers. Obviously,
I will tell you this. If you don't think that over 3 million people are watching those episodes, at least throughout the year, right? Because you can watch it on replay and everything else. And that's not including streaming.
Right.
Those episodes are seen by your face in that particular episode had to be seen by 30 million people, bare minimum.
Jesus God!
And by the way, it's great. It's great for the show because it has our name on it. It's good stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, to have the honor of Dark Side reaching out to us for future episodes for season 6, pretty fucking cool, in my opinion. And it makes me proud of what we've done. But the one thing I will say, my favorite episode was actually last season, which was Black Saturday. And the reason I liked
saw
it,
that. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, and it was so in depth. I was like, holy shit. Like everything that went on about that. You know what's so funny, Jimmy? I was watching it again the other day. I was doing work, so I just put it on. Do you remember when Georgia Championship Wrestling came back and all those scrubs were wrestling? And I was like, and it was on in the morning, and I remember going, what the hell? Who are these guys? Remember Killer Tim Brooks? I was like, what is this guy? And now you understand what happens when you watch this documentary. He had no stars to get. They were all gone.
Right. Yeah, it was a weird time. I remember I told you before, I remember being pissed off when I saw Vince on Georgia Championship Wrestling. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? Where the hell's Gordon? Get out of here.
Kind of pissed me off too, dude.
Yeah, I didn't like that,
All right,
in the end scheme, it was a tactical move.
Play this game with me. I decided to put together a list of Dark Side of the Rings I'd like to see.
We don't have to drink, do we? I'm not
no drinking on this.
All right, good.
All right, tell me what you think of these. So my first up is Perry Saturn's downfall after the Mike Bell incident. Saturn lost his WWE job after punishment gimmick for an incident. Wrestling career fizzled out. I just wrote notes, so just bear with me. My bad writing. He ended up becoming homeless. He became brain injuries. WWE once valued Perry Saturn enough to win a European Championship and had a consistent role on television with Terry Reynolds managing him. And Terry told us on the interview that he was always hitting on her, but she wasn't into him. I don't know why. He wasn't a bad-looking guy. One night ruin when Saturn lost his cool against local talent Mike Bell.
Yeah,
what do you know about this incident, dude? Because I actually know nothing about it.
I remember a lot about this incident. Mike Bell made a mistake, and he hurt Perry, and Perry didn't like it, and literally beat the living tar out of him and threw him out of the ring, and he landed on his head. And he continued to beat the shit out of him. And he finished him off, and after he went in the back, Vince McMahon was not very happy, nor was anybody else. And Perry
was this on a Monday Night Raw?
Probably was on one. It could have been on a Sunday Night Heat, for all I remember. It's a long time ago, but I do remember the match, and I do remember him freaking out, and I do remember Moppy. That was his punishment, was Moppy. And you know what's hilarious? What's wrong with me? Why did I used to laugh at Moppy?
You loved Moppy, dude.
What is it with me and slapstick humor? Was it terrible for Saturn's career? Absolutely. Now, I'm weird when it comes to Saturn. Saturn has ECW origins, probably, as you know.
Right.
I was never that big into Saturn. You're right, he had a good look. Was he a good-looking guy? That's highly debatable. Okay? But did he have a great physique? Oh yeah. Could he wrestle? Yeah, he got it done. He wasn't, an oh my God level of in-ring work, but he got it done. And I always felt indifferent about him, but I never looked at him as a scrub. So after he beat the living shit out of this scrub, and he beat his ass, man, he did. He went ballistic. And you're right, it was on one of the lesser shows, I'm pretty sure.
I will tell you this, dude. I saw that dude at the big event.
Yeah.
He looks awful. Awful.
Does he?
He looks like...
I didn't catch it. I don't remember.
He looks like a strung-out crackhead, dude.
Fuck. So this basically, he never got anything back. He got Moppy, and then from what I remember, he disappeared for the most part, as far as me paying any attention. And then if you're telling me it ruined his life as well, hey, guess he shouldn't have lost his temper.
Good episode for Dark Side of the Ring.
Right.
The Clique's backstage politics in Dark Side of the Ring, causing issues with many other wrestlers. You could get a bunch of wrestlers talking shit about them. You'd have plenty of that going on.
Right.
Backstage environmental infamous curtain call breaking character made it even more hated. WWE started embracing them histories after they cooled down. The 90s saw Shawn Michaels flexing his power along with Diesel, Razor Ramon, Triple H, and X-Pac. What do you think of that as a Dark Side of the Ring?
What did you remember about that? Because I thought that this was awesome. This one I did watch. I like this one.
No, this isn't real, man. This is me saying that. This is me saying this should be a dark side.
Oh,
of the
you're making up dark side.
I'm making up dark side. Now
I
you
didn't even
did see
fucking realize
no,
that.
you saw a documentary on.
I
No, you're
did
not
see
wrong.
I
That's a
did see
very
a
good. That's a
documentary on
great
this.
documentary.
You
Love
know,
that
but
documentary.
this shit, oh, I didn't realize. Look at you making up stuff. So the Perry Saturn one, would that really be? Yeah, that would make a good dark side.
I'm asking you if it would be a good dark side of the ring.
Yeah,
Now
no,
again,
I think
the
that
Click
would.
documentary is tremendous. That's the one you saw. It's tremendous.
Right. But as far as the dark side of the ring, yeah, because how many people have we had on that have told horror stories?
That's what I'm saying. It would be a lot of good.
Yeah, but you know what's
Click.
sad though? I mean, they would definitely have to talk to us because a lot of what they need is Mantar. You know, they need Mike because Mike was probably a prime example of what happens when you've got the size and you've got the you got the ability, and then boom, you run into them and you're done.
It's funny, Jimmy. You brought that up. They really shut Mike down, dude.
Dude, they shut his career off.
Oh,
I mean, it was like Click. You know what I mean? What would you think about that? You always say to me, like,
Click.
Oh, geez, I didn't even realize I was doing that. Hey, you always say to me, oh, we could have been wrestlers back in our 20s, blah, blah, blah. Mike, what do you do if we're fortunate enough and we come across the Click? I mean, do you understand what they're doing when they do it to you, and you just try to
It's
take
funny,
it,
Jimmy.
or?
That's a really great question. I was thinking to myself this, right? So if we said we were going to be wrestlers and we were training and we were lucky enough to get into ECW and you start there, there's a difference between Mike Monty and Jimmy Farrow at 19 and at 57.
Right.
So it's hard to answer like how I would have acted back then.
Right.
Like if it was me with my mentality now, no, I wouldn't deal with any shit. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
I think
me at 19,
I think I'd get fired, Mike.
Yeah, you probably would get fired, bro.
Back then, even now, I don't know.
I mean, let's be serious here. Say you were dating Sonny, okay?
Hey.
I'm throwing this out there.
How often do I have to go to the doctor for a needle shot?
Well, I'm just saying. You meet Sonny, you're dating her, and then all that shit starts going on, right? Because it doesn't matter who she was with. She was doing whatever the fuck she wanted to do anyway, right?
Right.
The Jimmy I know would not stand for that shit.
No.
Even if it was like,
No, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter.
Wouldn't matter how big these guys are.
There's not, and even if it was, no, it wouldn't matter at all. I mean, where's your self-worth at the end of the day? Yeah, your woman's, forget about the woman, by the way. If that's what she's doing, she's discarded.
Yeah.
You understand me? I'm done.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I'm done with that. And as a matter of fact, you better not have a sister who I'm friendly with. You don't fuck with somebody like that. All right. If that's what happens, then you're done. And as far as the guys go, they're going to get hit. It's going to happen. It's always been my problem anyway. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but the bottom line is you don't stand there and allow Shawn Michaels to bend over your girlfriend.
Well, I love what you said there, though. Like, you got to be a man. You got to be a man.
Where's your self-worth? There's got to be some stuff. And women respect men with self-worth. I mean, you just stand there and be like, oh, it's okay. Who's next? Well, what? No, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but, on the outside, it doesn't look too good when you see that Shawn is having a good old doggy session with Sonny. I mean, and you don't do anything. You got to
talk about the humiliation. Like, to this day, I still, I just want to share a thought, right? So we've asked these guys about Candido and why, like, they
and I like Candido, by the way.
But they were all friends with the guy. But they all felt like, hey, you just couldn't change the guy's mind.
What?
I get it.
It's his business. I agree with them. I got to be honest.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Hold on. Do you remember when Scott Hall was in studio?
Of course. How could I forget? Go ahead.
Do you remember? Like, I felt like Scott Hall was so nonchalant about that. Like, fuck it. That kind of bothered me, man. It still bothers me to this day. Like, when the Godwins were in, right? They were like, well, we loved Chris, but you know what? Anything we said wasn't going to change anything. Like, to me, that was it. Scott Hall, and you could go listen to the video. Anybody that follows us, right? You could listen to that interview. Scott Hall was basically like, whatever, whatever they want to do. Not like he just was. I just felt he was so uncaring. Is that a right word?
I think it is for that day that we saw him. You know my take on this. I've said it before. We met Scott Hall a couple of times, and the first time, for some reason, he's inviting me around the table to talk to him about him and his kid and life in general. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? He was so nice, you know. The second time we saw him, and I do put a correlation with this, was getting towards the end of his life. We didn't even know it then.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
now he's getting toward the first time we saw him, he had a good decade to go. And he was friendly. I'm just talking about what happened with us. You know, he was nice to us. Second time, little did we realize within 3 years, not even, Scott Hall was going to suddenly die. Okay? This is how I process it. Yes, he was definitely not in a I want to be here kind of mood. And it was the complete opposite of my initial impression of him. And you know, Mike, there's very few wrestlers, and I know you've got wrestlers you love behind you on pictures on the wall and stuff. There's very few wrestlers I've ever put on my wall. And the first time I met Scott, I put that picture on my wall. When we had him in, that picture came off my wall. Can I put it that way?
Well said, sir. Well
You
said.
know, I was like, man, I'm done with that. You know, it is what it is. Do I love Razor Ramon? Yep. And I'll leave it at that. You know?
All right, here's another dark side I think they should do. Iron Sheik Jim Duggan getting busted for drugs. Story made negative headlines for the WWE. Vince was upset about the face heel breaking kayfabe together. Drug testing started over this. Now again, we had the cop who killed kayfabe on our show. You could also catch that wonderful video, which was a really good story. What do you think about this being as part of Dark Side of the Ring?
You know what the funny part about this one is that on the surface, of course, it's dark. Vince gave them hell for it, blah, blah, blah. Dude, this is one of the funniest incidents ever to me, you know, especially after having such said officer on our show, which, by the way, if they ever do make this a dark side, you know, for a fact, they're going to be like, what's his number, Mike?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
right.
for a fact, because it's a great story, but it's hilarious. The story itself, you know, they get pulled over. And there's the Iron Sheik trying to be like, you know, play it cool. He knows he's totally in trouble. You got Hacksaw over there not looking too convincing. And the second he realizes he's the Iron Sheik thinks he's off the hook. You remember that, don't you? Oh, hello, Papa. You know, like he's like, I just wanted to identify you, pal. I'm not your friend. And then he goes and he looks in the boat and he tips the boat over and what an 8-ball or whatever of the Sheik's silly boot. You know, to me, it's hilarious. The story is hilarious.
The thing I always felt hilarious about it, Jimmy, is they actually took pictures with the Sheik after they arrest them. They're like, hey!
Yeah,
and he's like, hey, Baba!
You know, that is a former WWF champion, you know.
The one thing that I do feel bad, though, is Duggan at that time was really getting a push, and that ended him, man. You know what I'm saying?
Did it really, though?
Yeah.
Did it really? Because
you
what year?
Remember, he main evented Madison Square Garden against Andre the Giant. Do you remember that? Right.
But what I'm confused about. Of course, I remember that. What I'm confused about, though, is isn't this the same year that later on he wins the very first Royal Rumble?
I think that Rumble happened before
88.
that. I think it happened before this incident. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure it did. We can check that.
I know that they got scolded terribly. I mean, but you know what though? Their prime was their prime, and then that was that for both of them. Let's be honest.
Well, that's the other thing too. You bring up a good point. They were getting a little long in the tooth at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
No, and I mean, you got to give Vince a lot of credit too. He hung on to the Iron Sheik for a long time.
You know, and it's so interesting too that at that point you realize that only within half a decade or so, at that point Vince is protecting kayfabe like it means everything. A few years later, you got them all hugging at Madison Square Garden. And he's like,
"Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy?" I mean, talk about a swing of opinion. What the fuck, you know?
All right, how about this one? Probably one of the more tragic stories.
Oh, God.
The tragic fate of Daphne, who killed herself. I think, if I remember right, she actually was online with a gun and people had seen it. That was a sad little thing when she died. You know what, dude? She died in 2009. Is that right? That's not right. That's
that,
not
that
right.
does not feel right.
That's not right. No, it isn't. Because guess what? We weren't doing the show in 2009.
No,
and
no.
we were at Indie Music Studio, so that
I feel
can't
like
be right.
I feel like it's more 2020 or something like that. But you know, I mean,
I agree
again,
with
look, the years go too fast to begin with. That's one point. Yes, this would unfortunately be a very good episode for Dark Side of the Ring. I have to be brutally honest. I remember Daphne, but TNA, at least her position in the whole thing to me was just like, you know, I mean, in WCW actually, more importantly, I just didn't think much, you know. When she passed, I was like, what the? It is a what the fuck situation. It's very sad. It's not like she got to continue to do much in the business. It's probably an excellent episode for Dark Side of the Ring. It's probably something you would love to see. And I got to be honest, it'd probably be something I would avoid like the plague, because I feel like I've already got the picture. I mean, as far as she had a rise, she had a horrible fall, and she couldn't take it anymore. And I don't like watching those kinds of things because they're really the saddest of all.
Well said, Jimmy. All right, how about Test? I'm sorry, I kind of mixed my notes. Test passed away in 2009. Trained by Bret Hart, held both the WWE and WCW tag team titles. Test was a beast. Do you think Test would be a good Dark Side of the
Ring? No, I do. I do.
He was also Intercontinental Champion.
And Andrew Martin, I'll never forget Test's debut. Do you remember what he was before?
I do. He was a roadie. He was a
he was
band
the bodyguard
bodyguard
for a motley fucking
crew.
Yes,
but that wasn't real, was it? Was that real?
I don't care if it was or if it wasn't. If you told me the truth right now, it would make no difference to me.
I remember he was throwing people off the stage.
It was awesome. I was like, wow, this guy's great. And then he went into Weirdsville, if you know what I'm saying, as far as his booking and stuff. He went into Weirdsville, and I lost the vibe for him. He was, again, one of those, you know, he was more important on the card than a Perry Saturn, but for me as a fan, emotionally, I was kind of like, you know, I'm being honest. When his death came, though, I was like, what the fuck situation, way too young, obviously crashed and burned. It's sad, and it's a perfect episode for Dark Side for sure, Mike.
So far, you're like, hey, this wouldn't be bad.
I got to agree. I got to agree with it. What did you go into like a lot of? What made you even come up with this insanity here?
Well, because you know, I was very happy that we worked out a deal with Dark Side of the Ring.
Right.
It means a lot for you and me. It means a lot for our show.
Of course.
It means a lot for our family who supported us. I mean, without them, you know, this doesn't happen, right?
No
So
doubt.
then I thought to myself, like, okay, let me put together a list of stuff that could be Dark Side of the Ring, and then let me also put in Monty and the Pharaoh heavy, because if they decide to go with any of these, you know they're coming to us, right? Because we have the copy of kayfabe, and we just recently had Nikita Brezhnikov, as it was the 1 year anniversary of the Heroes of Wrestling, and where they told the stories. October 10th, 1999. Only got 29,000 pay-per-view buys. Jake the Snake Roberts ruined the entire show. On and on and on. I mean, this could be a great Dark Side of the Ring, I think. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I remember I was Am I allowed to say I had a hot box, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
I managed to watch this, and I was like, the way you were when we saw Greg wrestle after all those years, he's about to take off his robe, right? And you were like, oh, God, no. And you ruined it for me. My whole illusion of, you know, this is great. You ruined it. I was like, oh, my God. Well, that's how watching Heroes of Wrestling made me feel in 1999. I'm watching this. I'm like, this. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It's like an accident on the side of the LIE. It's like, this is the biggest traffic accident I've ever seen. Why do I find this so bad that it's good? That's how bad it was.
So that's good, though. Bad is good.
I mean, if you want a really good laugh, if you need a good laugh, go back and watch Heroes of Wrestling, because everything that's wrong about a presentation for a professional wrestling card
It's done. It's done with this one. That
It
is
is
great.
horrible, and everybody's finished. And they're trying to, I mean, it's in their career, they're all done. And they're making it out like this is the future of pro wrestling. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh my God, who put the money into this?
Well,
I mean, that was
I
just-
think the concept was right. The older wrestlers, dude. You know, when you were talking about this, about that Greg Valentine thing, it's so funny how things evolve. Do you remember like Andrew Anderson? We were like, oh, it's Andrew Anderson. Ooh.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, it's Andrew.
Would you stop that? You're
I
so
know. Come
mean.
on, dude. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying.
Why don't you use a better example? There's better examples than poor Andrew, who I happen to like. You're so mean.
I like Andrew. It's just that we were
You
like,
know.
ooh, it's Andrew.
Why don't we really start at the beginning, when we had like some of the indie guys from back in the old days, in the horrible days, the local indie guys that we thought, well, wow, we got so and so from Firehouse Wrestling. Yeah, like, you know, when you do the high jump and the fucking rope, the hose from the fire company hits you because the ceiling's too low. You know what I mean?
Don't make fun of Gary Reno like that.
And you know, oh God, I didn't even mean him. He was actually good. Go on.
Yeah, for a 50-year-old. Anyway,
you're just so mean.
Here's
dude.
another one. Buddy
Go ahead.
Landell going
Yeah.
to be world champion. His fall from grace. Former NWA national champion, Smoky Mountain champion. The story goes that Buddy Landell was supposed to win the belt from Ric Flair. He passed away in 2015. I always had this weird infatuation with Buddy Landell. Your thoughts on Buddy?
At the time, I thought of Buddy as okay. How many guys can you really have with long, flowing, platinum blonde hair anyway? That was my thought. How you like that?
That's pretty rough.
And I'm not being rough. I'm being honest. You know, you had Greg the Hammer Valentine with the long flowing hair and the robe. Yep, it worked. You had Ric Flair doing it with the long flowing blonde hair and the robes, made by Cameron McDaniel. Yep, it worked. You know. Then you got Buddy Landell, and I'm like, I've seen this before. And Buddy Landell, I am taking nothing away from him, was really good at what he did. And I know I can understand why you were infatuated with him. I totally get it. I'm not blind. I know what I'm looking at.
By the way,
right?
I was infatuated with him because he was like the poor man's Ric Flair. That's why I was infatuated with him.
Well,
he
that's
couldn't
interesting
speak like Ric Flair.
Right.
He had a kind of a flabby body.
In comparison,
he had the blonde hair, but he was like the poor man. I was just infatuated with him because he just seemed odd.
I could see why people paid attention to him. I paid attention to him. You know, I could see why, but I felt like you just basically said, we've already got one of these. It's called Ric Flair.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, why would
You know?
they put the belt on
I
him?
don't
Like, he
know.
just didn't seem like he was NWA material.
I mean, was Flair actually having one of his rare arguments behind the scenes with one of the heads of the NWO, and they figured we'll just get fake Ric Flair, like fake Razor, fake.
Well,
Diesel.
I think this was still
I don't-
during the
I don't know.
Georgia Championship Wrestling days, if I remember. All right, how about this one? So far you're happy with the list. How about this one? The rise and fall of Demolition and their feud with Vince McMahon. We have here, hold on, I'm just rolling my script here. A long battle kept legendary group out of the Hall of Fame. Real names Darso, Edie, Brian Adams used to hold the record for the most combined days for WWE Tag Team Champion. And then the interesting story of Smash, the original played by Moondog Rex, which if you watch the Superstar interview that's on there, it's pretty cool that he speaks about that.
Yep.
You can speak about their feuds and what they meant to the WWE.
This one, I hate that they're not in the Hall of Fame, and I love your idea of having it on Dark Side of the Ring, but as a fan that is furious that they're not in the Hall of Fame, I think that this will hurt their case even more. Not that they seem to give a shit. We've met them both. They're both great guys, by the way.
Yeah.
Demolition did nothing but live up to our expectations, while others have not. Demolition far exceeded them as people. This would be a great subject for it, but number one, would Bill Eadie even do it? I'm not sure. I feel like Barry would, but I'm not sure if Bill Eadie would do it. They'd obviously talk about it, but does it help their case to ever wind up? Look, they belong in the WWE Hall of Fame. This needs to be fixed.
Here,
before
you know,
they're
here's the
gone.
thing. I was thinking about this
You
too when
know?
I was writing it up, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Demolition deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes.
But hold on. Edie as the mass superstar, as Super Machine.
As the
This
mass
guy,
superstar.
this guy is. It
Deserves to be
doesn't.
in the Hall of
He
Fame.
just needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
As the
Period.
mass superstar and Demolition, I agree.
Whatever. You know what? And
Yeah.
then let's be honest about Darso.
Yeah,
Smash and
right.
Crusher Khrushchev was a
Pretty
great
big.
gimmick, dude.
Pretty big. Pretty
It's
epic.
like those two guys, forget about just Demolition. On their
Yeah.
individual statistics alone as their
Right.
characters, they
Right.
should be in the Hall of Fame.
Why do you think the grudge continues? Is Triple H holding it for, to honor Vince? Why does the grudge continue right now?
I don't know if it will. Maybe this year they change their mind.
They need to do that. In Demolition's case. I'm not saying in everybody's case, but in Demolition's case, they need to do that. Clearer heads need to prevail here. Enough. It's a bad look, Mike, for everybody involved.
It really is, Jimmy. An epic team like this, I agree.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous, in my opinion.
But it wouldn't
really
make a
is.
great dark side. But if I were them, I would try to work things out with the WWE and vice versa.
All right, bro. I'm going to switch gears on you here.
All right.
So I want to change subjects. I'm going to read a little something. So if anyone doesn't know, ESPN 30 for 30 is coming out with Mark Gastineau. Now, again, I understand that Jimmy and I are very New York heavy. But if anyone doesn't know who Mark Gastineau is, and I don't know how you wouldn't, he was part of the famous New York Sack Exchange for the Jets in the early to mid 80s. Mark Gastineau was a star football player, and he went on to stardom. I think he married Brigitte Nielsen, who ruined his football career, by the way.
Correct.
And if you see these clips, which are all over YouTube right now, Mark does not look like he's doing well. And there's a clip out there where Mark Gastineau confronts, and I'll show the picture as we're talking, Jimmy, confronts Brett Favre about giving up the
record-breaking sack
to Michael
Strahan.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And if you were a football fan or you watched it during that time, whether you were a Strahan fan or not, it was clear to anybody watching that Brett Favre gave that record.
He took a dive.
He took a dive.
He took a dive. He did.
So I want to read.
Mike, to make it just a little clearer, Michael Strahan at that point, and it was the very end of the game, was a half a sack short of Mark Gastineau. And when Favre saw, the ability, the chance at the end of the game for Strahan to get the shot in, to get the sack, to break Mark's record, Brett fell the hell down and gave it to him. His own teammates were fucking angry at him. Go on.
Yeah, I agree.
I digress.
There's a point where they showed his clip. You can catch it online, but Gastineau pretty much walks up to Favre, and Favre suggests that they met before, and Gastineau says, "Yeah, right." When you fell down for him, Gastineau says, "I'm going to get my sack back. I'm going to get my sack back, dude." And then Favre says to him, "Well, you'd probably hurt me." And I guess Favre must have thought it was a joke, right? Well, then Gastineau says, "Well, I don't care. You hurt me. You hurt me. You hear me?" And then Favre says, "Yeah, I hear you." And then Gastineau says, "You really hurt me. You hurt me, Brett." Gastineau says before Favre was directed by someone else to walk away from the situation. Can you elaborate on what what did Favre say in his response via X? Well, I know you have read it, right?
Favre did his best to take accountability, to explain himself, and that he did realize how much he had hurt Mark Gastineau. Mark Gastineau was trying to tell him, "You hurt me on two different levels. You hurt me on my professional level because I am a legitimate shot at the Hall of Fame. Mark Gastineau should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care if you love him or hate him. Okay? There was the fact that he had lost the sack record that he had held. And keep in mind, in those days, everybody on the offensive line hated Mark Gastineau on the other side. Mark Gastineau was a very polarizing figure. Okay? He was a star. He transcended. All right? He was that level of stardom. He was on the cover of TV fucking Guide. He was a big deal. He was the face of the New York Sack Exchange. Joe Klecko was the blue-collar guy next to him. Both Hall of Famers. Gastineau should be in. But he had not only hurt him on a professional level, he had destroyed by sliding and falling and just giving up that sack. He had destroyed a record that had stood for decades. That belongs to Mark, okay, at that point, when that happened, during that time. And as not just a fan of the Jets, as a fan of football, I was disgusted by that. All right. But more importantly, you hurt Mark on an emotional level because I learned this much about Mark. For the very things people hated him for was what I loved him for. He wore his heart on his sleeve. And he never, ever hid who he was or how he went about things. For God's sakes, he let Bridget Nielsen ruin what could have been another 5 years of unbelievable defensive football. Okay. He always did whatever his heart told him to do. So he did hurt emotionally from losing that record, and it did affect him, and it did probably affect his bookings, and it did probably affect his chances at the Hall of Fame, and it probably has been held against him. So everything that he said to Brett, I completely understood, and Brett better look scared, because even Mark in a compromised position looked like King Kong standing next to him.
But I will say this, Jimmy. I don't think it really bothered Mark back then because I think Mark had a lot going for him. You know, when a man finally faces their mortality, which, it seems like Mark is on his way there, all of a sudden you kind of look at the things that you wish you still had.
Right.
And having that record, which, by the way, if Brett Favre didn't do what he did, would still be standing today. Which is a shame, right? And it's a shame that one player can dictate something like they did. It's got to be hard for Strahan too, because Strahan knows.
Oh, Strahan took it smiling. I remember the whole damn thing.
You think he still takes it smiling?
Who knows? I'm sure publicly, probably put over the, the Strahan deal. Strahan's become quite the. He always was a sharp tool. I mean that as a compliment.
He's always been well spoken.
He always
knows where his bread is buttered.
I thought Michael Strahan was great. There's no doubt he's a Hall of Famer. But guess what? When you imaginarily, to me, broke the record, you didn't break the record. And Mark Gastineau is still the biggest badass coming around the corner I've ever seen. Plus, he had speed. I mean, people forget remember how fast Mark Gastineau was.
I am looking forward to seeing this documentary, man.
Right.
Because I got to tell you, when they speak to Marty Lyons and they speak to Joe Klecko, they're not big fans of Gastineau.
Not as a person, because back in the day, he thought he was Shawn Michaels' brother. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was Shawn Michaels. Great analysis.
That's exactly
all right. So the
what
theme of the song, who's right or wrong? So we've discussed the WWE and where they have been. Never before has the WWE, in my opinion, blurred the lines like they have. We've used the word tweeners. Tweeners probably better examples during the Attitude era as a tweener might be The Undertaker, might be Stone Cold Steve Austin, maybe in some cases Bret Hart, right?
Right.
But the WWE now has a bunch of tweeners. So we're going to pull some of the storylines and we're going to discuss it and then kind of debate who's right or who's wrong.
All right.
The first one would be CM Punk and Seth Rollins. These two are wrestling's most prominent figures with strong personalities and distinct approaches to the business. Punk is known for his rebellious, outspoken nature, while Rollins represents WWE's current face of professionalism and dedication.
Did you write this?
No, AI did, by the way. I love you plug in a few things and AI writes better than anybody can do it.
Oh, for God's sakes, go on.
CM Punk's perspective. CM Punk has historically been critical of the WWE's creative direction, citing issues with management and talent dynamics. His return to wrestling via AEW brought him back into the spotlight, but his tenure was marked with more backstage conflicts, as we've already known. Punk's fans see him as the voice of change and authentically in wrestling, though
Yeah.
critics argue he can be divisive and self-serving.
Eh.
Seth Rollins has been consistently defended the WWE culture,
Right.
expressing skepticism about CM Punk's return to the company, called Punk a cancer in a prior interview, emphasizing concerns over Punk's ability to work cohesively with others. So here we are, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And this, this is more reality
This
than
is great.
it is make-believe wrestling, right?
Right. Yeah. A lot of this. Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Who's right or who's wrong here?
They're both right and they're both wrong. Isn't that a tweener answer for you there, big guy?
That is a tweener answer.
But they are both right and they're both wrong. I respect the hell out of that of Punk. That back in the day he was like, fuck this. I worked the hardest. You've had the belt on me for so many days and longest reign in 25 years, and you don't want to give me WrestleMania's main event. Fuck off. I'm with that. But at the same time, I'm also with Seth Rollins. I mean, he's been a loyal company guy through the ups and downs. When AEW started, we finally got you, WWE. Who was the loudest and most supportive? Seth fucking Rollins. Oops, I messed up. Seth freaking Rollins. They're both right to have their points of view. So it really comes down to the old choose who you want to win. And you already know who I am siding with. So you might as well just call me names now because it's CM Punk.
Well, let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this: reality based and make believe wrestling based, right?
Like I'm watching Disney. Go ahead.
So Seth Rollins, right, has stood by the WWE. Even when we were getting tired of Phil when he was AEW, he would go on Twitter and defend the culture within the WWE on how wonderful the culture was. So. We discussed this a little bit earlier, right? So you work at a job, you're really great at your job, and there's another guy who's really great at their job, and this other guy's got age on you, and he has a little more experience, and maybe even a little more knowledge. But he's a cancer at the job, and he quits, and he leaves, and he sues the company, and he gets a bunch of money. But meanwhile, you're like, hey, man, give me the load. I'll do his work and mine. And they give it to you. And they're paying you well, and you're doing your job. And then before you know it, it's like, hey, Jimmy, just want to know, we're bringing back Phil, and he's going to be in charge of you. How does that make you feel?
As Seth Rollins?
As you. Seth Rollins as you.
Well, I'm putting myself in that position, and it's the same position. I don't care what level of work it is. You just described basically what the realism is between those two. So basically, I would be saying to myself, if I'm in that position, am I making sick money? How much money am I making? Is it worth it to work with them? I mean, there's too many particulars to really answer there. However, if I'm Seth Rollins and I'm doing this program with CM Punk, I'm loving every second of it. Because I'm going to make a fortune, and my legend in this business is just going to get bigger anyway.
But let me ask you this, Jimmy. So yeah, I'm sure Seth Rollins has made a bunch of money. The guy's loaded.
Oh God.
Right?
Oh yeah.
But would I be fair to say that Seth Rollins is more than just money? Seth Rollins wants to be known as one of the all-time greats. You could feel it when you watch him.
Yeah.
When you see him, you could feel it. And let's be honest. Seth Rollins, as wonderful as he is, and I gotta tell you, I'm a big Seth Rollins guy. Like, if I met him personally, I would say, dude, much respect for the way you carry the torch.
He's great.
But unfortunately for Seth, even though they put him in those positions, he's never been the face of the company, and he never can seem to be the face of the company. At what point do you think, if you're Seth, you leave and you come back, because that seems like the way to become the face of the company?
No.
A la Rhodes, a la CM Punk.
I wouldn't recommend it at this stage in his career, and I don't think he would do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's nowhere else to go but down in his position in this year, in this time. Seth Rollins should take it easy if that's what he's worried about. Seth Rollins will be considered one of the greatest of his generation. He will not be looked on
But he'll
in this
never
year.
be considered the greatest. He'll
Well, you know
always
what?
be. But wait,
There's
Jimmy,
very few that can call that.
but he'll
make a claim
always
to that.
be. He'll always be the Lou Gehrig.
I have no issue with him being a Lou Gehrig. I know that we've talked about this on the phone even earlier today. Lou Gehrig is fucking great.
But he's
Fucking
not Babe
great.
Ruth. But he's not Babe Ruth.
Yeah, but who the hell is?
But some
And don't
people want to be
tell me
Babe
and
Ruth,
don't tell me
right?
Barry Bonds, because that's not going to work. Who the hell is Babe Ruth?
All right, so let me ask you this question.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me put it this way. You're Seth Rollins. You're trying to carry the torch even through the leanest times.
Right.
But there's Roman Reigns, there's
Right.
Cody Rhodes, and now there's
Right.
CM Punk.
Right.
It's like, I don't know,
Oh, well.
man. And then how does it feel like the fans even go against you?
Well, if you're dealing in a program with Punk, that's the risk you run. He's one of them.
Do you think it makes sense for Seth to get away from that Joker character and become serious and be like, now I'm angry, Seth Rollins? Stop with the outfits. Stop with it all and be a pissed off Seth Rollins.
It doesn't matter what you do with Seth. Seth won't find a way to make it work. That's why Seth is so great. We wouldn't be talking about Seth this way otherwise. I like your idea of possibly a new Shield of some kind. I would love it if the original Shield somehow got together and all of this. I'm still praying for that, but I know it won't happen. The "I shielded you" comment that Punk gave to Seth during the exchange, I thought was unbelievable, considering it was Punk's creation. So I'm wondering if they're planting a seed somehow, like you said, for a Shield to suddenly pop up in some form. I don't know if it's Shield 2.0. To have the original Shield would be so jaw-dropping that, oh my God, is this really happening? But there's a lot of seeds planted here. I love the fact that it's based in real life. I love the fact that it got so personal. Where the hell were you while I've been doing this all these years? But understand one thing about why Punk left when he left, compared to why Rollins never left. Do you really tell yourself when you're Seth Rollins, I'm better than Roman Reigns, they should be presenting me? If that's what you're telling yourself, you're wrong. Roman Reigns was picked as the guy by Vince for a reason. And we've seen that it worked out that way. So it's not like with CM Punk, oh, guess who just came back from Hollywood? You're losing your main event spot. That's a little different. Actually, no, that's a lot different.
So let me ask you a question. When you brought that up now.
Yeah.
Do you agree with what happened to CM Punk? Do you think the WWE made the right move at that point? Or should they have given what he thought he deserved and put him in that main event?
It's almost unfair to ask me, but you know what though? If let's say it's you and me, and you're explaining the dollar value of that main event, then unfortunately I'm going with what Vince did. And that's the bottom line. I've already said that on record before. Do I think CM Punk was absolutely right to tell them, fuck you? I agree with that too. There you go. There's one of those immovable versus, unstoppable, whatever object. That's the way it went down. And in the end, all these years later, CM Punk has come back and been the ultimate coach and company guy. And if you want to stay consistent during their exchange, Punk trained Seth Rollins as a 16-year-old for free. Fuck off, Seth. That's why I'm rooting for Punk.
Wow.
That's
all right. How about the New Day giving us a swerve, right? We were predicting who's going to turn on each other. And then I think our conversation went, okay, so after they do this angle, what happens to both of them? And you and I said, I think, well, they'll just be done and go to nowhere because this is not a sustainable feud. What does the WWE do? They turn on Big E and they stick together and they become a heel team that has a ton of heat. But why do they have heat? Let me give you reasons. They've told Big E that he stranded them, that he was all about himself, yada yada yada. And they were right. Everything they said, more blurred lines, they were right. And Big E was right too. I had a broken neck. What did you want me to do? And again, I never seen something where people could get so much heat without hitting someone. But my next question to you, before you even explain your end of it, being that they didn't attack Big E,
right?
Does that tell you that Big E is not even close to coming back?
Mike, it's been 4.5 years. By the way, which I didn't realize time has flown by that quickly.
Which is crazy.
It's been 4.5 years since Big E had that horrible, neck injury. Do I ever expect Big E back in the ring? I keep my expectations to basically nothing. If somehow out of nowhere he's cleared and comes back, great. Great for him. Great for him as a person. I cannot believe that after 10 years of hating the New Day, hating them, and as people probably remember, when the New Day first started, the fans hated them, and they were being presented as faces, but they were hated. People hated them. They hated the whole idea of it. But then somehow it became the New Day that we know today. I still hated them. They were so over. Bootios? I mean, did we really live through that? Yeah, we did. I've always hated them. And then this promo came. And I went, oh my God, this might be the greatest thing I've ever seen. Somehow, Kofi and Xavier are absolutely despicable. Why do I love this so much? Oh my God, this is great. What did you want me to do? I broke my neck. Yeah, you broke your neck. So what? Oh my God. I mean, here we go. And then you never even had surgery, Xavier says to Big E. I tore the bone on my ACL right off, and I had surgery right away, and I was back in the ring in whatever months, Where have you been? You've been sitting safely behind your desk collecting your paycheck.
I think they also said Stone Cold broke his neck. Edge broke his neck.
Edge broke
they
his
came
neck.
back.
Right. And where have you been? You've been at your desk. Get out of our ring and go back to your desk. Oh my God. Oh my God. That was just amazing. But Big E's also right. Like you said, here's one where it's like, dude, my neck is gone. What do you want me to do? And he's trying to hug it out with them.
Here's what I say right now. Capitalize on this. The Viking Raiders are wrestling for the tag team titles against Judgment Day. Give the Viking Raiders a title and have the New Day wrestle them the following week and win those belts back. That's how quick this should happen. This is how quick this should happen.
Immediately. And props to Kofi, because I told you Xavier would make a good bad guy, but Kofi's right there.
He is. Do me a favor. Don't wear any colors. Wear black. Just black.
Yeah, just
make it clear. Just be a nasty son of a bitch.
As much as possible.
Exciting times for old school wrestling fans for sure. Saturday night's main event returns tomorrow night, Jimmy, with a pretty outstanding card. I got to ask you first, what did Saturday night's main event mean to you growing up as a wrestling fan? We see growing up, we were 16, 17, 18?
Yeah, somewhere around those parts. Well, it basically changed everything. Of course, it was the sequel in the end to the MTV thing. Once Vince hooked up with MTV, we started to get more mainstream attention from people who didn't know about professional wrestling. WrestleMania 1 occurs, and thanks to the MTV exposure, of course, had a lot to do with it. WrestleMania 1 occurs, and a man from NBC named Dick Ebersol is watching, and he's thinking to himself, there might be an audience on NBC for wrestling. I think this can happen. And it was a very quick time in between WrestleMania 1 and the first Saturday night's main event, and right away, you can see the production value completely shoot into orbit. The lights are brighter. There's a boom mic underneath the mat where every last body slam, every last fist, every last kick, everything's enhanced. It looks very much like what we have gotten used to today. It's the beginnings of what we've gotten used to today. Matchups that we would never see regularly. We would get to see for free on regular television. Free TV, one of the major networks. This is insane, right, Mike? This is great, even for the people who didn't have cable, because back then you had to have cable if you were going to see an MTV thing, or if you were going to see something special like an MSG, you better have cable. But even if you didn't have cable, you still had the ability to get channels 2 through 13, and channel 4 was NBC. Now everybody could see the Hulkster. Now everybody could see Rowdy Roddy. Everybody could see Macho. Everybody could see Andre. It
Let me
changed
ask you this though:
everything.
as a wrestling fan, did it make you feel proud? Like, that dirty secret now is sitting on Saturday Night Live spot every fourth week.
No, I was overjoyed. I'm not resentful of my little secret going big. What do you think? I rooted against
No,
Kiss
no,
after the
I don't,
first?
I don't,
You
I
know
don't
what I
mean
mean?
that. What I'm trying to say to you, didn't you
Yeah.
feel proud? Like, oh my God, the sport I love is now on national television.
Well, I enjoyed the fact that I could talk about it with more people and they know what the hell I'm talking about. I saw the growth of it. Of course, I was proud of it. I mean, that's what you want for something you love. We always loved it. Was it special when it was our little secret? Of course it was. But who the fuck are we to be like, oh no, it belongs to me?
As
I
a
mean,
wrestling fan, for me, Saturday night's main event was my favorite. Every fourth week, I loved it. And I made sure I stayed up for it, and I watched every match. I already told the story of the night Hogan got beat up. I was supposed to
right.
go on a date. It was a mess. Uh, Jesse Ventura has been announced that he will be returning Saturday, and I'm sure he'll do one match. Um, I think I shared with you, I'm a huge Jesse fan, just as you are. I
Right.
actually have him on my wall, him and Golden Boy Adrian Adonis,
Surprised you didn't
East-West
say. Oh,
connection.
okay. I can see why it's still up there. But go on.
Uh, uh, but I will say this,
Yeah.
and you kind of put me straight. I'm very concerned on how well he does. But you said to me, Mike, just set your expectations really low
Right.
and you won't be let down. And that's the way I'm going to approach this because, we shared we were on ESPN and the host coach asked what our favorite tandem was as announcers.
Right.
And I said, Jesse Ventura, Vince McMahon for me. And there was other
Right.
obvious things. So what I'm trying to say is Jesse Ventura as an announcer was incredible. And by the way, if anyone doesn't know that, I think you do, Jimmy, that George Steinbrenner offered Jesse Ventura to be the play-by-play man for the Yankees, if you remember that at one
Oh,
point,
thank God that didn't happen.
right? But let me ask you, how will Jesse do tomorrow night?
I have no idea. Like I said, I'm expecting absolutely nothing, and if he gives me something, I'll be happy with it. Do I still think he's sharp? Yeah, he appears to be. He appears to be. Who's he working with? As you know,
Well,
he's
that's
not.
my concern too. The WWE's got some stout announcers, dude.
Right.
Jesse will not be the star here. If they put him with Corey Graves will eat him up. I'm sure Corey Graves will make sure he tones it down and let Jesse shine.
Right.
But in reality, Corey Graves will eat that guy alive. Bad News Barrett will kill that guy.
Where's Cole?
I'm sure Cole's there.
Well, then just put Cole with Jesse. Perfect straight man for Jesse. Leave it alone.
What's he gonna say? Listen up, Cole. I mean,
you want him to argue with no. Jesse, if you're gonna do it right, let Jesse do his thing, and the announcer, if he wants to act a little appalled, go ahead. But in general, it better be Jesse's show. Although, I mean, as far as when Jesse's on, otherwise, what's the point of having Jesse?
Here's what I will tell you, Jimmy. That I'm really excited because the potential is here. But I am a little worried because we spoke about how are they going to do this show. And you brought up a good point because I had kind of forgotten. If everybody remembers Saturday night's main event, they always would put a wrestler in front of a screen, and the guy would say something about his opponent, and then they'd go to the opponent and he would say something.
Right.
And they would have like music in the background. I really hope they try to keep this as retro as possible because it will really feel pretty cool. What do you think?
I think it'll feel really cool to us, but I'm pretty sure that they're thinking to themselves, what can we do to make it have the feel that the old show had, but updated?
You're right.
And I think that that's what they're thinking. So again, visually, just like with Jesse, I'm going in expecting nothing, and I'm going to see what they give me. If I'm happy with it, we're all going to know. If I'm unhappy with it, we're all going to know. So
So I'm going to share one of my favorite moments for Saturday night's main event, and one of mine is the Roddy Piper Halloween one, where Vince goes to Roddy's house, which is a really creepy mansion, and he like gives the kids all nasty stuff like candied apples, but it's really a stick and a bowling ball, so it falls on their feet. It's all stuff like that. And then later on in the show, all the wrestlers are dressed up and they think they have the faces
Oh.
against the heel bobbing for apples.
Right.
And
That's so silly.
I mean, here's a scene from it where he's
This is
wrapping
your
up the
greatest
bowling
Saturday.
ball.
This
Dude,
is your
I frigging love this. I've
Oh
always
my
loved
God.
it. And it's like, I really, like they don't have enough hours to do this stuff on Friday night. And it's like,
Right.
I really hope they do this. But I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite Saturday night's main event moment?
I was talking with you earlier. Wasn't it when Orndorff becomes a face?
Oh my God, the Piper's Pit.
Yeah. That was unbelievable. But there's so many memories. They did 31 of them. People forget about later on. Shawn wins his first ever Intercontinental title towards the end of the Saturday night main event thing. Bret Hart got his first big opportunity on Saturday night's main event. I remember that. I remember a lot of things about it. And I remember most importantly, and let's hope that it feels this way, that it was special. It felt special. You wanted to tune in. You looked forward to it. I hope that they make me feel that way watching it. If they do that, they've done their job, right?
Well, let me ask you this. It was an interesting thing because Dan and Benny did a thing on Saturday night's main event yesterday, and there was
Okay.
one fan that had chimed in, and he was talking about how Vince ruined wrestling and he ruined the territories.
Here we
But
go.
again, you have purists out there. But like, here's my question to
Yeah,
you:
right.
do you think
Yeah.
Saturday night's main event had more influence on pro wrestling than even any of the territories that we watched all through the years, like a Georgia Championship Wrestling, Mid South, WCCW?
As a television presentation, yes. It's not even debatable. It's not even close. It's silly. It's silly. Okay. Saturday night's main event proved that you could go on to a syndicated network and that millions and millions. What was it? Even at the end, by the way, Mike, when they were struggling, they were getting 14.6 million people watching. Geez, on a television presentation level, it's not even close. It shot pro wrestling into mainstream stratosphere. And now kids had access too. Much more. How do you think we got the whole cartoon thing?
Yeah.
If we don't have Saturday night's main event and we don't have MTV, Vince was very, very smart, and Dick Ebersol deserves a lot of credit here because he stuck his neck out with the network and said, "I think this can work. Let's give this a shot." And when you realize the production jump from WrestleMania and just a few weeks later, you're watching Saturday night's main event, and the production value is like, oh my God. So as far as like how wrestling is presented at a top level, it changed everything. It changed everything.
Well, before we get into the matches, I will also, Jimmy and I was speaking. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's talking. Like the big thing is like, do you think Cody's going to lose the belt? They, do something really big because they've really been pushing this Saturday night's main event, or this
No.
is going to happen, that's going to happen. This is the
No.
one thing people forget about Saturday night's main event. There were 2 title changes through all the years they did those shows. They only had 2 title changes. One was
Right.
the Brainbusters beating Demolition, and then the before mentioned Shawn Michaels defeating
Right.
Davey Boy Smith for the Intercontinental title early on in Shawn Michaels' third heel turn.
Right.
Saturday night's main event was, Jimmy, you put it the best way, the ultimate go-home show. It always set up your pay-per-view. And in this case, it's going to set up your premium live events.
Right.
So these will be a story to continue on with the story. So
Right.
before we get into the matches, I'm going to prerequisite and say that these matches are going to be just full with run-ins because number one, they want all the wrestlers to be seen on NBC. So a new audience sees them all. Obviously, there's not enough time to get all your wrestlers in there. And then the other question is, I know there's a lot of matches announced. Are they all making it on this show? I'm not so sure they are. Remember,
Okay.
it's coming on at 8:00. So is this a live show? They're shooting this live at NBC, or is it taped? Are they shooting it earlier on in the day? And then, I don't know when it is. You know what I mean?
I don't think. Well, you're right there on Long Island. What does it say at Ticketmaster? I mean, like, I would think it's going to be live.
Which is crazy, by the way.
Why?
Because it's on, I don't know, it's on national television, right?
Well,
So
what
it's
is
like,
somebody gonna curse or poop on stage? I mean, what's the problem?
if you do, you really have a big problem, right?
Yeah,
So
you do, but I mean, you've been doing live television for decades. Get out there and do your job.
I guess you're right. And then
You
the
know?
next question is, you've got 2.5 hours. No, is it 8? You got 1.5 hours to put on.
Right.
To put on 3 women's matches to make the U.S. champion. I'm sorry, right? It's
Right.
3 matches, 2 semifinal matches, and then the final match. Right? They're showing all 3 of them, right?
Okay.
And then you have 4 other matches. I don't think you have enough time, bro.
Not for 7. No, not in that time frame. I don't think so.
All right, well, let's talk about this one. World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Finn Balor versus Damian Priest.
Well, Gunther's got to walk out of there with the belt, obviously. And I said to you, I noticed that there was a shot taken at Dominic by Finn when he was talking with Gunther, like, I deserve the shot, not Dominic. And Dominic, So, I mean, I think the Priest Balor thing will probably continue. Not that I care that much, but Gunther should walk out of there with the belt. That's what I think. It's a possibility that Dominic might screw Finn. You say it's too early? I don't know. The Judgment Day definitely seem to be on their way out. Maybe they won't be. I don't know.
But there's no chance Gunther loses his title, right?
I would hope not. I'll put it that way. I ain't gonna say there's no chance. Nakamura just won the Intercontinental title, and we called it.
Yep, that's true.
So I don't know. I mean, but he should walk out of there with it. Don't you agree?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly, dude. Wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
All right, how about this one? Drew McIntyre up against Sami Zayn.
That's gonna be a really good match. Drew's got to win, though. Drew's got to win that match. I mean, what's the point? I mean, if anybody's been screwed around here, it's Drew.
I agree.
He's doing some of his finest work. Sammy's always great. We know about that. That's not going to hurt Sammy one
I
bit.
have a feeling if they have to squeeze in matches, this is the match they're going to be like a 1.5-minute match.
That'd be pretty cool if he claymores him right away. I mean, I got no issue with that.
He claymores him right away.
That'd be fine.
Stuff. You're too funny, man.
That'd be fine. What else we got?
And then we got your boy Cody Rhodes up against
boy
Kevin Owens.
First of all, Kevin Owens is my boy. Okay, why is Cody Rhodes my boy?
If anyone was at my house at WrestleMania 2 years ago, they would definitely.
What? When I told you that he was going to be as over as he is? Yeah, you're referring to that moment when I knew that whether I'm a fan of his or not, that watching him come up out of the stage and stuff, I was like, yeah. Fuck you, AEW. You fucked up. You fucked up. That you talking about that moment? That makes me a Cody Rhodes guy when I rooted for Roman Reigns while Karen made fun of me? Ha ha.
Let me ask you this: Is Roman Reigns going to show up here? They got to put him on the show, right?
I would. Well, if he doesn't show up here, when's he showing up during the women's match? Hell's no. Superman punch. Oh my God, Chelsea.
All right. Well, listen. So let's first. Does Cody Rhodes win, or is there a Randy Orton run-in? Like, what's the prediction here?
Oh, that would be nice. Have a nice Randy Orton RKO disqualification. Show ends or whatever. I'll take that. I mean, what do you want?
Dude, I mean, even with the Liv Morgan Io Sky, Rhea's coming in that match, and that's
yeah, she should.
There'll be a lot of run-ins going on here.
I would think so. Yeah, we gotta have Roman get involved. Yeah, why not?
How about prediction for the Women's United States Heavyweight Championship? Who's winning this belt?
Is Chelsea involved in this?
Chelsea is. Yep, she's in the Final Four.
I'd like to see Chelsea.
It's Chelsea Bailey and Mia against I'm just Mia Chin.
Minchin, yeah, I know you
against Tiffany Stratton.
Well, I love Tiffany. If she wins anything, I'm happy.
Tiffany,
but
my prediction's Tiffany's losing to Michin, and
why would they do that with Tiffany?
because Tiffany, she's got the money in the bank. She doesn't need to be in this
That's
final.
annoying me. I don't want her like taking pins left and right. God, I guess I'm conflicting here.
Well, it
because
also helps you let Chelsea Green win, because if Chelsea faces Michin, everybody's rooting for Chelsea. You put
Right.
Chelsea against Tiffany, forget about it, dude. The
I don't
place
know
will be
what
going
happens
crazy.
there.
It's gonna be going crazy for Tiffany, dude. It'll be like
with nothing for Chelsea. All of a sudden, all
nothing.
the Chelsea
Come on.
fans are not
No.
rooting for Chelsea.
Come on, Tiffany is over, man. She
Yeah,
is.
Tiffany's over, but will they be able to look? The Chelsea fans are very diehard Chelsea fans. Are you so sure?
Are you saying they're like Swifties? Don't mess with the Chelsea fans.
I'm getting that vibe from her following. Like they're like Chelseaers for life, man. If she continues this way,
If you go a little Chelsea for life, not bad.
Interesting.
Dude, I got to tell you though, I am honestly very excited for this. For what reason, I don't know. I also know
I don't know.
they're also bringing our friend Tito Santana will be there
Arriba!
with Coco Beware.
Oh,
dude,
really?
Is there a possibility Coco Beware sings Pile Driver on Saturday night's main event?
Well, he hasn't called me and Bart, so I guess we're out.
I was going to ask, did you get a call from Coco to be in the Coliseum?
Do you think I would after my partner told him that I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame and he bounced my head off the desk?
Do you think they're going to use any of the old music, like
the theme?
No, like Obsession. Yeah.
Oh man, I would love it if they did, but the kid, but half these kids might be like, "Oh, this is terrible." Click.
What is this?
What am I watching? I'm triggered from this presentation.
This is awful.
Yeah,
dude. Even when Hogan went at the end of that song, right at the end, would put it the double flex was fucking awesome, dude.
Hey, no Hogan appearance at Saturday night's main event.
No Hogan appearance, no.
How you feel about that, brother?
Kind of doesn't matter to me. Like, what would Hogan do? Now? Like, what's Hogan gonna do, dude? What's he gonna do? Hey, brother.
I don't know. Like say
hey,
the wrong,
Cody, don't let
say the wrong city and welcome to Saturday night's main event. I don't.
You know what would be kind of fun if Kevin Owens beats up all the old superstars.
That would be
fun, like Coco and Tito. He beats them all
he
up.
power bombs Hogan. Who can take bumps anymore?
How great would that be? Like Tito's like, Arriba, and he just gets a crap kicked out of him.
Terrible. They better pay Tito good money if that's what's going on, man. Fuck that.
Gonna pay him. Gonna pay him Dan and Benny money.
Oh my God! They'll give him a case of good fucking wine.
And here's the funny thing too. Do you think Tito would at least said on Dan and Benny's show that he was going to do Saturday night's main event?
Would he say it?
He didn't. Like he had to have known. It was only like 4 weeks ago.
I don't even know if he would say it, to tell you the truth.
Probably forgot.
He forgot. Well, he did forget that the Intercontinental title was in his basement for like years.
Dude, oh my God.
Remember?
My God.
He's like, oh crap, there it is. What the?
And he threw it in the fucking garbage. You know how much money someone would have paid for that thing?
He didn't think it was worth anything. That's hilarious.
Oh my God. Another big mistake made by people. It's like, what are you doing?
Man.
All right, so we got no title changes, and you will have a new women's U.S. champion, though.
Yeah, I don't know about all these belts with the women's division. I know you're probably thrilled, but I'm like, hey, really? All right. Whatever.
So just to recap, we had a podcaster who lost his son and decided to try to make it into a money-making venture. Mia Khalifa is going to be working for AEW as a wrestler.
Great.
Mark Gastineau is still very upset with Brett Favre for giving away his sacks and championship.
Justified.
And I believe Saturday, 8 p.m., which is tomorrow, the return of Saturday night's main event. Jimmy, very long show. discussed a lot of stuff. And notice
Yeah.
I passed over Tommy Dreamer, by the way, because
Did you?
it was worth talking about.
Oh,
And
okay.
passed
I'm
over
very upset about that. You can tell.
Tessa Blanchard going on to possibly going to TNA. So
Yeah.
Jimmy, you want to send us out, my friend?
You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh, and until next week, later.
Oh, I forgot to end the show.
Jesus, hit the button, will you?